Ayla walked into the school building like a shadow, quiet, unnoticed, and alone. She wore an old black hoodie and carried a second-hand backpack. Her eyes looked down. Her steps were slow. No one smiled at her. No one even waved. She was the new girl, but not the exciting type, not the kind that people get curious about. She was the quiet kind, the kind people forget after one glance, the kind who eats lunch alone and doesn't speak unless the teacher asks. From the first day, Ayla sat in the last row near the window. She watched the birds more than the blackboard. She never raised her hand. She never laughed. Some students felt sorry for her. Others just ignored her. But a few started to notice her silence in a different way. To them, silence was weakness, and weakness was something they liked to play with. It started small. One girl, Laura, dropped her pencil near Ayla's desk and asked in a fake sweet voice, "Can you get that for me, please?" Ayla quietly bent down and picked it up. "Thanks," Lara smiled, but there was a sharpness in her eyes. Later, she whispered to her friends, "Did you see how fast she obeyed? Like a scared puppy." They laughed. The next day, one of the boys in the group bumped into Ayla in the hallway, making her books fall. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," he said with a smirk. Ayla didn't respond. She just picked up her books and walked away. She never looked at them. Never said a word. To them, that meant she was weak. To Ayla, it meant something else, something deeper. She remembered her grandfather's words. "You don't fight every battle. You choose the right one, the final one." But they didn't know that. They thought she was afraid. They thought she was easy. So they kept going. They called her names. They put gum on her locker handle. They even made a fake social media account and posted a photo of her sitting alone with the caption, "Ghost Girl." Still, Ayla said nothing. But something was changing inside her. One day in class, the teacher asked a question. Ayla knew the answer. She looked up. For 1 second, she thought about raising her hand, but then she heard the snickering from Laura's side of the room. She stayed silent again. The teacher looked disappointed. "No one?" he said. Ayla sank back into her chair. She wasn't stupid. She wasn't weak. But she was tired. Tired of pretending it didn't hurt. Tired of being a target. Tired of hiding the part of her that the world wouldn't believe anyway. The part no one saw, because no one ever looked close enough. After school, Ayla didn't go home right away. She walked to an old building 3 blocks away. The sign on the door was faded but still clear. Master Rahim's Dojo. Strength with silence. Inside, the smell of sweat and wood filled the air. There was no loud music, no cheering, just a quiet thud of feet moving across the mat. Ayla removed her shoes, tied her belt, and bowed before stepping in. She was not a beginner. In fact, she was one of the best students there. But no one at school knew. She wanted it that way. She trained in silence, just like her grandfather taught her. Every move, sharp. Every breath, controlled. Every step, strong. But even as she kicked and blocked and flipped her sparring partner onto the mat, her eyes showed something deeper. Pain. She didn't want to fight. She wanted peace. But peace was hard to find when the world only gave you pain. Back at school the next day, things got worse. Laura pulled out Ayla's notebook from her bag when she wasn't looking. She opened a page and read loudly, "The world is loud, but I am quiet. That doesn't mean I'm not strong." The class burst into laughter. Ayla froze. She grabbed her notebook and walked out of class. Her heart was heavy, but her hands, they were steady. Laura laughed again. "Did I hurt your feelings, ghost girl?" Ayla didn't reply. She just looked back. For the first time, she made eye contact. Laura suddenly felt something strange. Like Ayla was no longer afraid. like something was coming. That afternoon, something did. As Ayla walked down the hallway to her locker, one of Lara's friends tried to trip her, but Ayla didn't fall. In one fast motion, her foot landed firmly. Her balance stayed perfect and she kept walking. The boy blinked, confused. Wait, how did she? He didn't finish the sentence. Because Ayla turned her head slightly, just for a second, and gave a small smile. Not a friendly smile. Not an angry one either. It was a calm, powerful smile. The kind that says, I'm done hiding. The sun was low in the sky as Ayla walked home. Her shadow stretched long on the sidewalk. She didn't cry. She didn't look back. But something was building inside her, like a quiet storm. That small smile she gave in the hallway. It wasn't just confidence. It was memory. It was history. It was the start of a change. 3 years ago. Ayla was just 12 when her world turned upside down. Her parents were busy people, always working, always tired. But her grandfather, Master Rahim, had time. He lived in a small house behind the hill near the woods. It was peaceful there. No noise, no bullies, no pressure. Just him and his little dojo. Ayla loved visiting him. He taught her how to breathe deeply, how to walk with focus, how to feel every step. And one day he said, It's time. Time for what, Grandpa? Ayla asked. He handed her a white belt. To learn how to fight, so you never have to. She didn't understand then, but she nodded anyway. Every weekend, Ayla trained in silence. She learned how to block, how to strike, how to fall, and how to rise. Her grandfather didn't let her speak during practice. Talking is easy, he said. Listening is power. She watched him closely. He was old but strong. His hands had wrinkles, but when he moved, he was lightning. One day, Ayla fell hard during practice. Her elbow hit the mat and tears came to her eyes. She stood up quickly, wiping them away. I'm sorry, she said. Her grandfather smiled. Why sorry? I cried, she whispered. He gently lifted her chin. Crying is not weakness. Staying down is, but you got up. Ayla never forgot those words. Back in the present, Ayla sat on her bed, holding a photo of her grandfather. He had passed away just 1 year ago. She missed him deeply. She stared at his picture and whispered, They think I'm weak. The wind outside made her curtains move. She closed her eyes. In her mind, she could hear his voice. Let them think. Silence will shock them more than noise ever will. The next day at school, Ayla walked differently. Not fast, not slow, but strong. She didn't speak. She didn't smile, but her eyes were no longer afraid. In gym class, Coach Miller asked everyone to pair up for a basic movement drill. Lara looked around, then smirked. Hey, Ayla, let's be partners. Some students laughed. They knew what that meant. Lara only wanted to embarrass her. Ayla nodded. Okay, Coach shouted. All right, let's practice shoulder taps. Light contact. No, pushing. As soon as the drill started, Lara pushed too hard. Ayla stumbled a little. Coach didn't see it. Oops, Lara giggled. My bad. Ayla didn't respond. She just fixed her stance. Next round, Lara tried again, harder, but this time Ayla didn't move. Her foot stayed locked, her balance perfect. Lara looked surprised. Ayla gently tapped her shoulder, then stepped back. Nice form, Ayla, Coach said without knowing the drama. Lara said nothing, but inside something felt off. She didn't like the way Ayla stood. She didn't like the calm in her face. It made her nervous. After gym class, Lara followed Ayla to the locker area. Hey, she said, so now you think you're a ninja or something? A few other students gathered nearby. Ayla opened her locker, grabbed her bag, and turned around. No, she said softly. I don't think that. Lara stepped closer. Then what do you think you are? Ayla paused. She looked Lara in the eyes and said, "Just one sentence, someone you shouldn't underestimate." Then she walked away. Lara stood there, frozen. The hallway felt colder somehow. For the first time, she felt unsure. Later that night, Ayla sat on the floor of her room. She rolled out the old mat her grandfather gave her. She bowed. She stood tall. And she moved. One strike, one block, one breath. She didn't need noise. She didn't need applause. She just needed focus. The past was still with her. The pain. The practice. The promise she made to her grandfather when he got sick. "I'll never use this to hurt people. Only to protect myself." But now, the line was getting blurry. The bullying wasn't just mean. It was cruel. And even though Ayla stayed silent, she knew. A moment was coming. A moment where silence wouldn't be enough. Monday morning came with a heavy sky. Clouds covered the sun, and the wind felt cold. Ayla walked into school like she always did. Quiet, focused, alone. But something was different now. She wasn't walking like a scared girl. She walked like someone who had made a decision. She would not hide anymore. But she still wasn't going to attack. Not yet. Inside the classroom, the teacher handed back the science test papers. Some students smiled. Others groaned. When Ayla got her paper, she quietly looked down. 6%, the highest in the class. She didn't smile. She just folded the paper and kept it in her bag. But Lara noticed, and that was enough. "Look at Ghost Girl," Lara said loudly. "She's not just weird, she's a nerd too." Some of her friends laughed. Ayla said nothing. She didn't even look up. But inside, something moved. Something was starting to wake up. At lunch, Ayla sat alone like always. She opened her lunchbox and began to eat slowly. Then, out of nowhere, splash! A bottle of water poured right over her food. Lara stood above her, holding the empty bottle. "Oh no," she said, pretending to look sorry. "I tripped." Her friends laughed louder than before. Ayla slowly closed her lunchbox and stood up. She didn't shout, she didn't cry. She just looked at Lara and then turned and walked away. But Lara wasn't done. "Ah, are you going to tell the teacher now?" she shouted behind her. "You can't fight back, right? Because you're weak." A few students turned to look, but Ayla kept walking. After school, the bullying followed her. Lara had taken it to the next level. She posted a video online, an edited clip of Ayla from gym class, making it look like she was falling over clumsily. She added music, embarrassing music. She captioned it, "Karate Queen can't even stand up." By evening, it had over 200 views. Some people from school started commenting, "Why does she walk like a robot? Who trains her? Mr. Bean? She's not scary, she's sad." Ayla saw the video. Her hands trembled. She locked her phone and sat in silence. She wasn't angry at the video. She was angry at herself for letting it go this far. Her grandfather once told her, "If someone keeps pushing the door and you don't lock it, they'll come in." Now, they were inside. The next morning, Ayla woke up early. She didn't go to school right away. Instead, she went to her grandfather's dojo. It had been a while. She took off her shoes and stepped onto the wooden floor. The place smelled the same, like old wood and memories. She bowed, then stood in the center of the mat. She closed her eyes and began to move. One strike, one breath, one block. She was calm on the outside, but on the inside, a fire was rising. She didn't want revenge. She wanted peace. But some people didn't understand peace until they were shown strength. Later that day, Ayla entered the school just before the bell. She wore the same hoodie, same shoes, same backpack. But this time, her walk was steady, her shoulders straight, her eyes forward. People looked at her. Some whispered, others pointed. They had all seen the video, but Ayla didn't care. In the hallway, Lara stood with her group. She saw Ayla walking toward them, and she smirked. "Look who's here," she said. "The superstar of shame." She stepped in front of Ayla, blocking her path. "You really think you're tough, don't you?" Ayla didn't answer. Lara stepped closer. "You're nothing," she whispered. "Just a scared little girl pretending to be strong." Then Lara did something no one expected. She grabbed Ayla's notebook, the one she always kept close, and opened it. "Let's see what secrets you hide, Karate Queen." She flipped through the pages and then laughed loudly. "Oh, wow," she said. "Look at this." She started reading one of Ayla's private poems. "I don't speak loud, but I feel deep. I walk alone, but I don't sleep. My pain is real, my tears are true, but don't mistake me, I'm stronger than you." The hallway went quiet. No one laughed this time. Lara paused, unsure. But she had already crossed the line. Ayla stepped forward. She looked Lara in the eyes. Her voice was calm, steady. "You should have left it alone." Lara blinked. "What did you say?" Ayla took a deep breath. She didn't raise her fists. She didn't shout. She just repeated, louder this time. "You should have left it alone." Then she turned around and walked away, leaving everyone in silence. Even Lara didn't follow. Something about Ayla's voice, her eyes, her calm. It didn't feel like fear. It felt like warning. That evening, Ayla didn't go home. She went straight to the dojo. She didn't need to practice anymore. She was ready. The next time someone tried to humiliate her, they were going to meet the part of her they thought didn't exist. The quiet storm, the power behind the silence, the punch of the past. It was Friday. The school gym was buzzing with noise. Coach Miller had announced a special activity. Self-defense basics, no fighting, just movement and control. Everyone had to join. Most students were excited. They thought it would be fun. Lara? She was already planning something else. "This is perfect," she whispered to her friends. "Time to make Karate Queen look stupid. Again." She didn't know that Ayla was ready, more ready than ever. In the locker room, Ayla changed quietly. She wore her plain black tracksuit, no logo, no brand, but she didn't need any of that. Her strength wasn't on her clothes. It was in her mind, in her balance, in the lessons her grandfather gave her. "All right, class?" Coach Miller clapped his hands. "Pair up. We'll do light drills. Today, focus on footwork and blocking only." Everyone looked around for a partner. Lara grinned and called across the room. "Ayla, let's go again. You and me." Coach nodded. "Great, that works." A few students looked at each other. They knew Lara would try something. They waited for Ayla to say no, but Ayla just walked forward, calm, steady, silent. The drill was simple. One person stepped forward, the other stepped back and blocked. No hitting. No full contact. Coach explained, "This is about control, not power." The students began their practice. Ayla stood in front of Lara. She raised her hands gently, her fingers open, her feet firm. Lara raised her hands too, but her smile wasn't. "Friendly. Ready, Karate Queen?" she whispered. Ayla gave no answer. Coach blew the whistle. The drill started. Lara stepped forward and swung harder than she was supposed to. Ayla blocked. Smooth, clean, no struggle. Second time, Lara stepped even faster, trying to fake her. Ayla didn't move. She watched. She waited. Lara's hand moved again, fast, aiming for Ayla's shoulder, but just before it landed, Ayla spun. Her foot lifted. Her heel moved like lightning. Thwack! A perfect karate kick, controlled, accurate, strong, but not cruel. It stopped inches from Lara's face. Everyone gasped. Lara froze, eyes wide, mouth open. The gym went silent. Even Coach Miller paused mid-step. Ayla slowly pulled back her leg. Her hands still raised, her face still calm. She spoke for the first time. This is control. She stepped back. Coach walked over, speechless. Where did you learn that? He finally asked. Ayla looked at him and said, My grandfather taught me, before he passed. Coach nodded slowly. He wasn't just impressed. He was stunned. Lara stood stiff, embarrassed and shocked. She couldn't speak. She couldn't even fake a joke. After class, whispers filled the hallway. Did you see that kick? She almost hit Lara. No, she didn't hit. That's the scary part. She could have, but didn't. Ayla walked alone again. But this time, it felt different. This time, no one laughed. Lara sat in the bathroom, her face red. Her friends stood around her, unsure what to say. She embarrassed me, Lara said quietly, in front of everyone. One of her friends replied, But you kind of asked for it. Lara looked up. She was no longer smirking. She was thinking, something she hadn't done in a long time. Later that day, Ayla sat in the school library, reading a book. A shadow appeared over her table. It was Lara. Ayla looked up, ready for anything. But what she saw surprised her. Lara wasn't angry. She looked nervous. I just wanted to say, Lara began. I didn't know you were like that. Ayla didn't answer. I thought you were just hiding. But I guess you were holding back. Still no reply. Lara finally said, That kick, it was real, but you didn't hit me. You could have. Ayla closed her book, and then she spoke. Quietly, but clearly. Power isn't about hurting people. It's about knowing when not to. Lara swallowed hard, then she walked away. No laughter, no mocking. No more games. That evening, Ayla returned to the dojo. She lit a small candle and placed it by her grandfather's old photo. She sat on the mat, folded her legs, and closed her eyes. Today, she whispered, I didn't fight, but I showed them who I am. She breathed deeply, and in her heart, she felt her grandfather smile. The news about Ayla's kick spread like fire. By Monday morning, the whole school had heard the story. Some students said it was a lie, others said they saw it with their own eyes. She didn't even touch her, one boy whispered in the hallway. But Lara froze like a statue. I've never seen her that quiet. Now, wherever Ayla walked, people looked, but differently. Not with laughter, not with mockery, but with curiosity, and something else. Respect, Ayla sat in class like always, still quiet, still focused. But now, people didn't ignore her. They noticed her. Even the teacher smiled at her when handing back a quiz. Excellent work as usual, Ayla, she said gently. And this time, a few students actually looked impressed. Not annoyed, not jealous, just impressed. At lunchtime, Ayla sat at her usual spot, alone. But then something strange happened. A girl from her math class walked up, tray in hand. Mind if I sit here? She asked. Ayla looked up, surprised. The girl smiled nervously. I just wanted to say your kick was amazing. Ayla nodded slowly. You can sit, she said quietly. Soon after, another girl joined them, and then one more. They didn't talk much, just sat and ate. But Ayla felt something different in the air. She wasn't invisible anymore. Meanwhile, Lara stayed quiet most of the day. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't leading her group. She wasn't even walking with her usual confidence. People noticed that too. Did Ayla break her spirit or something? Someone joked. No, another replied. Ayla didn't even touch her. That's the scary part. Lara sat in the corner of the cafeteria, poking her food. She wasn't just embarrassed. She was thinking, and she didn't like how it felt. After school, Ayla walked to her bike. It was parked near the old tree by the fence. As she unlocked it, a boy walked up. He looked nervous. Hey. Ayla, right? She looked at him, unsure. I saw your kick last week. You really know karate? Ayla nodded. Since I was 5, he scratched his head. That's cool. I always wanted to learn, but I don't have anyone to teach me. Ayla stared at him for a moment, then said softly, "Come to the dojo tomorrow morning. I'll show you something simple." His eyes lit up. Really? You'd teach me? She gave a small smile. Just the basics. He nodded quickly and walked off, excited. Ayla watched him go, then looked at the sky. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel small. That night, Ayla sat with her mother at dinner. "You look different today," her mother said. Ayla looked up. "Different how? Like you're lighter? Like something heavy is gone." Ayla thought about it. "I think I stopped hiding." Her mother smiled gently. "Your grandfather would be proud." Ayla nodded. But inside, she knew something. This peace, this respect, it wasn't going to last forever, because someone would always test it, and she had to be ready. The next morning, Ayla went to the dojo early, and just like he said, the boy from school showed up. His name was Zane. He was shy, but eager. Ayla showed him how to stand, how to breathe, how to balance. "Don't try to fight," she told him. "Learn to feel." He copied her moves awkwardly, but with focus. For the first time, Ayla saw herself in someone else. Quiet, careful, willing to learn. By the end of the session, Zane bowed and said, "Thank you. I've never felt this strong before." Ayla smiled. Again. It felt good to give something back. Back at school, whispers turned into small waves of respect. Students nodded at her in the hallway. Some even asked if she was really a black belt. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. But then, during gym class, trouble came again. Coach Miller called for teams for dodgeball. It was supposed to be fun, but the moment Lara saw Ayla on the opposite side, her eyes narrowed. Lara had been quiet for days, but now something had changed. Not just jealousy, anger. As the game started, Lara aimed every ball at Ayla. Hard, fast, personal. The others noticed. "That's not fair," someone whispered. But Coach didn't stop the game. He wanted to see what Ayla would do. She dodged the first few hits easily. Calm, sharp, focused. Then Lara threw a ball with full force, aimed straight at her face. Whap! It missed by inches, but it was too close. Too much. Ayla froze. Everyone waited. Was this it? Was she finally going to fight back? Ayla looked at Lara, then walked off the court. Coach called out, "Game's not over, Ayla." She stopped, turned, and said firmly, "I don't play with people who don't know the rules." The class went silent. Even Lara's face turned pale. Ayla didn't need to throw anything. She already won. With words, with presence, with discipline. Later that day, Lara passed Ayla in the hallway. No words, no smirks, just silence. Ayla didn't stop. Walking, but inside, she knew. The school didn't see her as weak anymore. They saw her strength, not because she attacked, but because she chose not to. That was real power, and now... They all knew it. It had been 1 week since Ayla's kick. 1 week since Lara lost her voice and her power. Now something strange was happening at school. Ayla, the girl no one looked at before, had become the girl everyone noticed. She walked down the hallway as usual. Quiet, calm, focused. But now, heads turned. Some students smiled, some nodded, some just stared with respect. Nobody laughed anymore. Nobody whispered behind her back. Even the teachers noticed. In science class, Mr. Grant paused while checking attendance. "Ayla," he said, "your project last week was excellent. I shared it with the other teachers." A few students turned and looked at her. Ayla just gave a soft nod. She didn't speak much. She never tried to show off, but her silence now felt powerful, not weak. At lunch, more students came to sit near her. Not to use her, not to copy her homework, but to simply be near her. Even some boys who used to joke about her now said hello. One even asked, "Hey, Ayla, are you going to open a karate class? I'd totally join." She gave a small smile. "I'm not a teacher," she said, but in her heart she was beginning to feel like one. Meanwhile, something was changing inside Laura, too. She wasn't being cruel anymore. She didn't have her group of girls laughing behind her. She sat alone sometimes, and she watched Ayla closely, not with anger, but with confusion. Maybe. Even something else. Regret? One afternoon, something happened in the schoolyard. A group of younger students were playing near the back fence. Suddenly, a fight broke out. Two boys began yelling, pushing each other hard. A few students stood and watched. Some even pulled out their phones. Nobody stepped in. Nobody helped. Except one. Ayla. She walked straight toward them. Her voice was calm, but loud enough. "Stop!" The boys paused. One tried to act tough. "What are you gonna do? Hit us?" Ayla looked him in the eye and said firmly, "I don't need to hit you. You already lost." The boy looked confused. "Lost? What are you talking about?" She pointed. "At the kids standing around filming. You lost your respect. Right here, right now." Everyone went silent. Even the boys stopped moving. A teacher came running moments later, but it was already over. No punches, no punishment, just Ayla's words, and they were stronger than fists. That night, the principal called Ayla into her office, not for trouble, for praise. "I heard what you did today," she said. "You stopped a fight without even touching anyone." Ayla stayed quiet. The principal leaned forward and smiled. "You've become a leader, without even trying." Ayla blinked. She had never heard those words before. Leader? Her? The next morning, Ayla found a note inside her locker. It was written on a small folded paper. It said, "You're not just strong. You're the kind of strong I wish I was. L. No name." But she knew who it was. Lara. She held the paper for a long time. Did she believe it? Did it matter? Ayla didn't know. But deep down, she felt something change. Something small, but real. Later that week, Coach Miller made an announcement. "We're starting a new after-school club, a beginner's martial arts and self-discipline group. Anyone interested? Sign up." Everyone turned toward Ayla. She was shocked. "This wasn't my idea," she said. Coach smiled. "No, but it was your example." That afternoon, 15 students signed up, and guess who was last on the list? Lara. After practice, as Ayla packed her things, Lara walked up to her. No makeup, no crowd, no smile, just Lara. "I joined the club," she said quietly. Ayla looked at her. "Why?" Lara hesitated, then said, "Because I want to understand what makes you so different." Ayla didn't say anything at first. Then she whispered, "It's not about being better. It's about being balanced." Lara nodded slowly. For the first time, there was no war between them. Just peace. A beginning. That night, Ayla lit her candle again in front of her grandfather's photo. She spoke in a whisper. "They don't laugh at me now. They listen." She touched the edge of her karate belt. "I didn't fight them, Grandpa. I showed them another way." A soft wind moved the candlelight, and in the quiet, Ayla smiled. She wasn't just strong now, she was seen. The dojo was quiet that afternoon. The soft sound of feet on the mat, the slow breath of students trying to balance, the steady voice of the coach. But something was different now. Lara stood beside Ayla, learning, sweating, falling, trying again. Not mocking, not laughing, just learning. Ayla noticed the change. Lara still had pride, but it wasn't sharp anymore. It wasn't used like a knife. Now it was focused, like a flame learning to warm instead of burn. Sometimes Lara fell, sometimes she got frustrated. But Ayla never laughed. She helped her up, quietly, without a word. And that silence, it said everything. By the end of the week, Lara stayed behind after practice. Everyone had left, except Ayla, cleaning the mats. Lara walked up slowly. "I never said thank you," she began. Ayla didn't stop cleaning. "You don't need to." Lara shook her head. "No, I do. I was cruel. I made fun of you. I tried to break you." Ayla paused, then looked up. "You didn't break me. You helped me find myself." Lara blinked. She didn't expect that. "I didn't mean to." "I know," Ayla said. "But pain has a way of becoming purpose, if we let it." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Lara spoke again. "There's something you should know." The next day, news spread through the school like wildfire. A video had been posted online. A student was being bullied in the parking lot, pushed around, called names, their backpack thrown into a puddle. It wasn't Ayla, it was a younger boy. Quiet. Small. New to the school. A few students watched and laughed. Nobody stepped in. Nobody helped, but one person filmed it. And now the whole school had seen. Some students were angry. Some were embarrassed. Some were scared. Because one of the bullies in the video was Lara's old friend, Sasha. Lara saw the video too. She felt sick. That used to be her. She used to laugh like that, push like that. But now, it felt ugly, wrong. And she wasn't going to stay silent. Lara found Ayla outside the library. "We have to do something," she said. Ayla nodded slowly. "I was thinking the same thing." Lara looked nervous. "People are afraid to speak up. But if we don't, we're no better." Ayla looked at her closely, then said, "Then we speak up together." That afternoon, they went to the principal's office. Together. They showed the video. They named the students in it. They explained what happened. The principal was shocked, but grateful. "I'll take it from here," she said. But Lara shook her head. "Can we speak at assembly?" she asked. The principal raised an eyebrow. "You want to speak to the whole school?" Ayla stepped in. "It's time someone told the truth, from both sides." The next morning, the gym was packed. Every student sat in silence as Lara walked up to the microphone. She looked nervous. Even Ayla standing beside her could feel the pressure. Lara cleared her throat. "I used to be a bully. The whole room went quiet. I used to laugh when others cried. I used to push people down so I could feel taller." She looked at Ayla. "But then, someone stood up to me. Not with violence, but with discipline. With courage." She turned back to the students. "And now I see what I was too blind to see. Before, being cruel isn't strength. It's fear. And I'm done living in fear." The room stayed still. Then Ayla stepped forward. She spoke calmly. "Some of you think silence is safety. That if you say nothing, you're safe. But silence can hurt too." She looked around. "That boy in the video? That used to be me, alone, pushed around, laughed at." She paused. "But not anymore. Because I found my voice. And now, we want you to find yours." The room stayed quiet for a few moments. Then slowly, applause. Soft at first, then louder, stronger. Some students even stood up, not because they were forced, because they felt something, because they saw something they couldn't unsee. Change. Later that day, students started checking in on the boy who had been bullied. His name was Armin. He smiled shyly when people spoke to him. When Ayla saw him in the hallway, he said, "Thank you for everything." She nodded. "You're not alone anymore." That evening, as Ayla and Lara walked toward the gate, Lara asked, "Do you ever think about the past?" Ayla nodded. "Yes, but I don't live there." Lara smiled. "I'm learning that too." They walked in silence for a while. Then Lara said quietly, "I'm glad you didn't give up on people, even someone like me." Ayla looked at the sky, soft, clouds drifting, the sun glowing gold. She replied, "We all have a fight inside us. Some just need someone to show them how to use it." The school year was coming to an end. Students were counting days. Teachers were rushing to finish grades. But something had changed in the school, and everyone felt it. It wasn't just about exams or summer plans. It was about the atmosphere, about respect, and most of all, about Ayla. She still sat quietly in class. She still wore her same simple clothes. She still walked alone sometimes, but now, people noticed her for a new reason. Not because she flipped someone with a karate kick, but because of what she stood for. She stood for strength, but not the loud kind, the quiet kind. One morning, the principal made an announcement over the loudspeaker. "Before we end this year, I'd like to honor one student who reminded us all that being silent doesn't mean being weak." She didn't shout, she didn't complain, she acted, she changed things. "Please welcome Ayla." The gym clapped as she walked onto the stage. No fancy clothes, no makeup, just her, with calm eyes and strong steps. Lara stood in the front row, clapping, louder than anyone. Ayla took the mic. She looked at the students. Some of them were once her bullies, some were strangers, some were her new friends. And then she began. "I used to hide in corners. I used to pretend I was invisible. I thought being silent made me safe. But silence didn't protect me. It just made others louder." She paused. "One day, someone pushed me too far, and I finally pushed back. Not because I wanted to fight, but because I wanted peace." Another pause. "You don't need to kick someone to be strong. You don't need to scream to be heard. You just need to stand. Even if you're standing alone." The gym stayed silent, but their hearts were loud. After the assembly, students came to Ayla, one by one. Some said thank you, some apologized, some just nodded. Even Sasha, the girl from the bullying video, walked up with teary eyes. "I messed up," she said, "but I want to change." Ayla didn't say much, just gave her a small nod. That was enough. The next week, something amazing happened. Coach Miller started the new Peace Through Power Club. It wasn't just about karate anymore. It was about discipline, control, respect. And Ayla was asked to lead it. She didn't say yes right away. She thought about it. She sat with her grandfather's photo that night and whispered, "Grandpa, I never wanted attention. I just wanted to survive. But now, maybe it's time to lead." The next morning, she said yes. The first day of the club, 30 students showed up. Some were younger, some were older. Even some of the teachers joined to watch, and standing beside Ayla at the front was Lara. Together, they led the warm-up. Together, they taught self-control. Together, they showed what real power looks like. One student asked, "Miss Ayla, what should we do if someone bullies us?" She paused, then replied, "Don't answer with hate. Answer with discipline. Don't fight to win. Fight to protect. And never be afraid to stand alone because someone, somewhere, is watching and finding their courage through you." As the weeks passed, Ayla's story spread even beyond the school. A local newspaper wrote about her. Then a community center invited her to speak. One day, even a small news channel sent a team to interview her. They asked, "What message do you have for other kids like you?" Quiet, shy, and ignored. Ayla looked at the camera and said simply, "Being quiet is not weakness. Your silence holds strength. Just wait. When the moment comes, the world will hear you, without you ever raising your voice." And they did. Because Ayla never needed to shout. The whole school heard her anyway. She didn't just stop a bully, she started a movement. She didn't fight to destroy. She stood to build. She didn't need noise to make her point. She became the loudest voice, through her actions. And in the end, Ayla wasn't just remembered for her kick, she was remembered for her character,